Hello everyone, my name is Chris Finnigan. I guess I could say a filmmaker. Been making movies for a long time. Just had a kind of eureka moment recently. I've also been a Warhammer collector since second edition, 1997. So I thought I would marry my love for film with my love for Warhammer 40K. As you guys know, super expensive hobby. I've probably spent enough on it since '97 to put a few kids through college. But it's something that's been near and dear to my heart. I'm an ex-Canadian Forces military individual as well, so my force is the Astra Militarum, more specifically Cadian. I got my tattoo there. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'll get it in a little bit closer. But yeah, I wanted to start this channel just to do some battle reports, but also just chat about my collection and get it out there on YouTube. So again, I've been collecting since 1997. The second edition was the first pack I ever got. It was the Space Marines versus Orcs. There was the Gretchen in there and the card Dreadnought, which was amazing. I still have all of those books. I don't think I have any of the models remaining, but as I go through this video, I'll show you guys some of my older Cadian models. Like I have a Griffin tank still. It doesn't exist anymore. Maybe one day they'll bring it back. I don't know, but some older Basilisk models as well, things like that. So I'll walk you guys around, show you my collection. Being Canadian Forces as well, a veteran, I really love the Astra Militarum rank structure. So, I have my 1 to 4 section usually for my platoon. I got my platoon officer, and then I have my warrant officer. So you guys that are watching from the States, a little different in Canada and in the UK, which our military system is based off of. But when you guys see my battle reports, I've really built a company kind of based around what would be as close to a Canadian Forces standard as possible. My battle report too, I did a narrative crusade with my Astra Militarum Cadian. You guys can check it out at hashtag Finnigan 40K. So that's hashtag FINNIGAN 40K. I also have hashtag Finnigan 30K, so I've got tons of 30K as well. That might be for another video. But that narrative brought them against tons of different enemy forces. And the awesome thing I love about the Astra Militarum, it's like you and me, human people, in the year 40,000 fighting these insane creatures. Superhumans are fighting alongside you. Superhumans are fighting against you. The lore of the Astra Militarum is awesome. And they, in that campaign, I'm going to probably do a lot of the same enemy forces, but they took on Nurgle, they took on Wordbearers, they took on Orcs, they took on Tyrannid. So I'll show you guys the forces that I have too, because the great thing, having collected for so long, I don't just have a bunch of allied Space Marine units as well as Astra Militarum. I have almost every single enemy force. So what I do is I either have myself just play a game, because it's kind of the only way you can play with one individual, or I have some buddies over and we'll get a couple units. I don't really follow the Warhammer 40K rules. I haven't done a narrative crusade yet in 10th edition. This is going to be my first time doing it during my next narrative crusade battle play. But I love to it's not like a grab the objective points or, wipe out this entire force. I always have my Cadian models kind of outnumbered and outgunned by a different force, but I give them the ability to be they have to, transport this VIP from point A to point B and get lifted off in, a transport. Or I have, these civilians need to make it across the battlefield because they have a certain amount of information, and I have my Cadians just as meat shields, holding off these advancing forces that are against them. And somehow, I don't know, and it's not that I've, given any kind of buffer to the enemy force, but they always pull through. So they were literally, I think I did 6 or 8 battles last winter, and they won every single one. So I'm going to see what happens with 10th edition. The Astra Militarum Cadians, if any of you guys collect them, they have been severely downgraded. 9th edition was the best for them, so their tanks were rolling on 3+. They were doing crazy 4+ rolls with some of their guys. And I know that Astra Militarum doesn't have a codex yet. When that comes out, that might change some of those rules, but for now, I'm not going to be using my artillery pieces because they don't hit anything anymore. So I've had to change up my strategy a bit, but you guys will see as I get out there. I'll walk through probably another video with what my Crusade force is built from. Would be awesome to hear what you guys think of it. It's going to be very troop strong with a couple of Hellhound tanks. I love Hellhound tanks because they have a super low point value, but they're actually pretty durable, especially with the street fighting kind of battles that we do with my narrative crusades. So I'd like to hear what you guys think. Who should be added into the roster next? I got some Ogrins that are ready to go. I have Leontis that's good to go. I have Castellan Creed, so Ursarkar's daughter is in there. So I have tons of models. What I'm going to do now is I'll walk through I'm probably going to just do audio on top of some of the video for the forces that I do have. And as you guys watch these, like, let me know if you want to see the Cadians against, Slaanesh, or Cadians versus Chaos Undivided. Throw a Bad and the Despoiler in there and see like how a Cadian Castellan can do in hand-to-hand combat, because that's what I love to do. And actually Leontis in one battle, it was against the Word Bearers, he was phenomenal in hand-to-hand. I'm going to have to look at his stats again for 10th edition, but he held his own against a bunch of Chosen, and yeah, pretty sweet for a human dude that's got some enhancements, but yeah, I just wanted to create this quick video. Again, I've been making films for a very long time, wanted to marry the Warhammer 40K universe with my film love, and then with Space Marine 2 coming out, everyone's jumping on the bandwagon there, so I said, you know what, I've been in it since 97. Space Marine 2 has been phenomenal as well so far. I played the first one back in 2011. No spoilers, I'm on like the first or second mission, and I've created a couple of awesome custom Marines as well for like the side quests. So I'm working through Inferno, super tough. I'm not going to drop myself to easy yet, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'll show you guys some of my collection. Some of my 30K models are here too. So I'm a big Imperial Fists guy for Marines for 30K. So I have Rogel Dorn. I have Alexis Pollux because I am a huge Crimson Fist. That's my main Space Marine unit, but I have almost every other chapter. So I'll show you guys right now. And yeah, if you can, like, subscribe, let people know, and just keep an eye on what's coming out. Thanks so much. So here I am behind the camera now. I'm just going to go through a couple of I've got a few shelves here of some individuals. So what I've done with my Crimson Fists chapter, and my plan is to actually get the entire chapter. So I have a customized Pedro Cantor. You guys can see him there. It's built off of the Tor Garadon model with Marnius Calgar's head. It worked perfectly because he's got the massive gauntlet. And then I just took like an old school bolt pistol or bolt gun and strapped it on his fist there. But those are all of the like chapter officers. So you have like the head chaplain, the head apothecary, the head librarian. You have Pedro himself. Next to him is Alexis Pollux, which is a sick 30K model. So happy I got him. I haven't really used him too much in 30K. I usually go with Fafnir Ran or with Sigismund, but he is a really, really cool model, and I'm so happy I have him in my collection. And even though he's wearing the yellow there, he is the initial Crimson Fist, so he's a perfect piece for the top of my cabinet. And then I have the man himself, the Primarch Rogel Dorn. Hopefully he's going to be back. I know probably you guys know a bit of his lore there, but he was like lost on a ship with his hand cut off, but nobody really knew where he was. So if he comes back wearing the Emperor's armor or something, it would be absolutely incredible. So moving down, I have captains that have been built from the Imperial Fists Codex supplement. So you guys will recognize like Captain Hios, and I tried to line up those captains the best I could with kind of the loadout that they have for what squad numbers they are or anything like that. And these guys run off of the Codex Astartes, so much similar to the Ultramarines. So you have your veterans in white helmets, you have like, I don't have colored pauldrons, but I guess you could do that. I've never really seen Crimson Fist models with them, but I could do that as per company within the chapter. Moving down, we've got kind of my heavy support big guns. So I have a bunch of Aggressor Marines. I have Captain Anto. All of my Hellblaster units are back there as well. They're darker paint and it's a blue cabinet. I'm hoping you guys can see that. And in future too, if you guys want to see me do like a narrative or a crusade campaign with Crimson Fists after my Cadian, let me know for sure. Down here we have our scouts. So I think this is like 9th or 10th company. We have Captain Ortiz, who's right out of that Codex supplement as well. And he's in there with all of his like Reaver Marines. They've got all the Phobos armor going there, so that's pretty sweet. And then down on the next shelf is my main like fire company. So this is Captain Halius. There's going to be another captain added. I'll show you him in a sec on my paint table. But they are, that's a lot. That's like, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 Primaris intercessors with some veterans up front, so probably like 80-ish there. I know a full chapter is 1,000, so it's gonna take a while, but keep picking away at it. And my birthday's gone, so no one can get me birthday presents for that yet, but maybe Christmas. And down here I have kind of our armor area. So we have some Outriders, I have Predators, Rhinos, and my Land Raider. And again, don't have too many vehicles for the Crimson Fists, but that can always change too. And on the other side, we have Abaddon himself with a knight in behind, and beside him is Horus. I just wanted to put Horus in there because this is my Chaos Undivided shelf. And he's up there with a bunch of champions. We've got some demon princes. Yeah, down here, some more Chaos Undivided. And this is definitely an army I would love to pit against my Cadian. I don't think I did it last time, but having Abaddon again face off against, like, you know, an Imperial Preacher like Uriah Jacobus. I have his model. He's old school with the shotgun, like blasting away the bad, and I think it'd be sick, yelling, you know, prophecies or whatever he wants to do. Here's another shelf here. There's some more just Marines, or Legionnaires as they're called now, because they've survived the Long War. They've been around for like at least 10,000 years, so they're there. Down here's my Chaos Cultist shelf. I have a lot as well in there from just different, I think it's all Warhammer. Like, I might have got a couple models off something else, but it's mostly Games Workshop or Forge World that's in there. And then down here is more Cultists. And I would love to also just do a mission of like Cadian versus Cultists, because they're so similar in stats, and just have like a rushing wall of Chaos Cultists versus my Cadian. So that's that. I'll show you guys the next shelf in just a sec. Actually, before I show you guys the shelf here, there's my new captain that's being painted up right now. I got myself a Terminator captain. He's got the sick, like, gotta have the Crimson Fist. And this is a Castus, so I believe he's like a reserve captain for like one of the lower companies, but he's gonna be on my shelves too. And then I got a lieutenant model as well, because, you know, you can't have enough Space Marine lieutenants. And Colonel Ironhand Straken is also being painted up. I also have some old school metal Cadian right here, which are sick. These are from like 1995. So I repainted them. I gave them like a primer and painted them up in new combat colors. And I'm probably going to do the same with Straken as well. And then behind them is a Norn Assimilator. And that's going to definitely be incorporated into a Tyranid battle. That is a sick model. He's so cool. And I think a couple Hellhounds blasting away at him might take him down, but we'll see what happens in that narrative. And here is another shelf. So this is more like, I don't know, there's Inquisitors, so the old school Kotias models in there, which I love. The new one, I'm sorry, I can't get behind it. I might get him, but it's not going to be Kotias, because he looks like an old man in a diaper, a gold diaper. So this is just a shelf of Inquisitors and their retinue. Down here is my Battle Sisters. So I have Morven Val, some of the Paragon suits, I believe they're called, and some of their tanks in the background as well. Those are awesome to paint with like the big stained glass windows and stuff. I do have Big E himself in the middle of all this, and you can see the model is probably a pretty good size. So of course, you know, he's on the Golden Throne now, but I saw that model on some website somewhere, and I said, you know, I'm going to grab them and just add them to my Battle Sisters, because they're just those zealotous like Emperor supporters. I have the Custodes as well. Henry Cavill, I know that's your force, so there they are. Painted up in their gold. Really, really nice models to paint too. I love painting them. I don't want too many because they're just like absolute beasts, but maybe if you guys want to see narrative or crusade with them, for sure. And then down here I have some old school stormtroopers. So I'll pull one of these guys off. These guys are sick. I remember I had these guys initially and they were just like fully painted black, but these are also like 1995, 97. So older models from when after I probably started collecting, but they were still in store. So I have a shelf of them, and that's kind of like inquisitorial stormtrooper support. I have the Vindicator Assassin up in the Sister of Battlehead, I think it is. So that's a sick model too. Down here's a little bit more armor for the Sisters of Battle with more of their Sisters Repentia and some other models. And then down here I have Sisters of Silence with a Bane Blade behind them supporting them. And then one of my Hellhound tanks, it'll definitely be in that campaign. Again, these tanks, like, for their point value and their durability, I would take a whole army of them before probably even putting a Bane Blade on, because you could get like 4 or 5 Hellhounds for the price of that. Not the greatest range, but their power is like woof. All right, and on the other side here, we have Nurgle. So my Death Guard with Mortarion in the background. I did a lot of custom models here too. I love to make custom models. Nurgle's a fun one to mix together. So you just get a bunch of bits from like, I don't know, 30K and then mash them in, because it works, because it's still like kind of fracti armor and stuff. We have Typhus in there with all of his Poxwalkers. I think possibly my first campaign game for the Crusade narrative is going to be against Nurgle and I have a really good idea for that. I actually ran it against Khorne last time, but I think I'm going to switch that up to Nurgle. Some more Plague Marines down here, my Death Guard. I kind of did a cool, like, a lacquer paint on them, which is kind of shiny, like it looks very warpish. And then I did some, like, some oil on them there to kind of make it look a bit grimy. So if you get in close, like, I don't know, I think they're sick. I like that style, and you don't see it very much. And then here I have a Greater Demon. I also have a really souped up Land Raider that I did, so it's got like a Nurgle tree on it. It's got a bunch of Nurglings hopping around on there. I love Nurgle and Death Guard too. They're an amazing army, just so powerful. And playing these guys against my Acadian is going to be awesome. I really hope my Acadian can survive, but we'll see. Some vehicles, and then another highly converted knight here. So I pulled a Greater Demon head off of Nurgle, and I popped it on to the knight's head. And then there's like a bunch of like goo coming out of great plates on it and stuff. And you guys will probably see that closer. I don't know if I'm going to put a knight in that battle, because a knight versus a couple of hellhounds to start would probably just decimate them, but you never know. Maybe that'll be the final boss or something. We'll see what happens. And then to round off my Nurgle Death Guard, I have some more vehicles down here, and Felthius Bile, or whatever his name, and his little cohort, I threw them down at the bottom. Also really cool models. Yeah, so that's my Nurgle, and I'll move over to my other guys right now. So here's my shelf of Dark Angels, and we have Lionel Johnson in there. The new model was absolutely incredible. It was great to see another Primarch come back. It was very difficult to get him for a while, but I finally found one, so he is leading that army of Dark Angels. I have 2 shelves of them, so over here is more of the Raven Wing and my Death Wing. So those are some awesome, sick models. I have Asmodai in there too. I have the 30K line as well in there, and then some Raven Wing like speeders in the back. This shelf is another Primarch who is still going, is Roboute Guilliman, and he has Marnius Calgar beside him and tons of Ultramarines to support. On this shelf, you guys will probably recognize this dude if you're new to Warhammer. It is the Titus miniature model. So I got that when I was in Syracuse, actually, at a Target. I'm in Canada, so we don't have Target here anymore. We did for a while, and I got the board game. So I was able to get a Titus miniature with a bunch of Termagants, and he is absolutely awesome, and it's so cool to have him as a miniature, and then playing as him on the screen on my PS5 is absolutely sick. Down here, another really good force to take on the Cadian, because they're very evenly matched, is the Genestealer Cultists. So you guys can see that I have some like Astra Militarum Genestealer Cultists in the back. I have more models over here that are also Genestealers. We have the Patriarch back there too, so that's going to be a pretty badass model to go in maybe against the Castellan, or if I get Leontis in there on the roster later on. We'll see what happens. Down here is another kind of Inquisitor shelf. So this is my Grey Knights. They have Voldus in there. These are also sick models. The Inquisitorial Henchmen, oh my god, you can get like 5-10 packs of those and just customize the crap out of them and have like Imperial Agent missions, or have them like as VIPs with information moving from point A to point B, or trying to get them extracted from a mission. So I'm super excited to use them. They're probably going to be involved in my very first battle, maybe against Nurgle, if that's going to happen, and I'll incorporate them. And then over here is more sort of support units. So I have the Imperial Navy Breachers. You guys can see back there with his fucking old school shotgun is Uriah Jacobus. This model, absolutely incredible. He's an old school, like, badass preacher from way back in the day. I don't know if you can find his model anymore. Maybe on like Monster Merchants on eBay, they're a great shop for some models that are still old school in metal. I got some Adeptus Arbites in there, and some other models that are a bit older in metal. But I've had Uriah Jacobus for like over 20 years. He's one of the first, I think, Imperial models I ever got. So I'll move you guys over to my last shelf here in just a sec. I'm going to start on the bottom of this one. This is my Slanesh shelf. So we've got a bunch of Emperor's Children, Fabius Bile out front. We have a Greater Demon in the back, and a whole bunch of other demonettes and things, which would be another force that would be just absolutely incredible against my Cadians. See how they do against them. I have my Thousand Sons. So they're back here. You got Magnus the Red in the back, who's another demon Primarch. So, you know, I don't know. Magnus was kind of bad, but got a bad rap. But anyways, you guys know about that. Up on here's my Word Bearers. I do have Lorgar in there, in the middle holding down that army. Sorry, I bumped my boom mic there on there. The word bearers have been an incredible force too against my Acadian, and this was the closest battle that I had in my last narrative. The Acadian won by literally their last turn, so that was a very, very close fight. I have my Imperial Fists downgraded since their time, you know, during 30K and the Horus Heresy, but I have Torgarrad on there, and it's not a massive chapter, but I definitely wanted to, you know, have my predecessor chapter to my Crimson Fist, so I have a few of them, and you know, if you ever want to see them in a narrative too, might do it up. Raven Guard, which I absolutely love. I will never get anything that's higher than like a Phobos Marine for these guys because it just doesn't suit them, I don't think. So I have a bunch of the new Scout packs. I have 2 of them. And then we have Kavan Shrike there, who's the chapter master, and then tons of other Phobos Marines and Reaver Marines. And I don't know if you guys remember, but Last Stand at Glazer's Creek, which was like a sick battle back in the day of Orcs versus Praetorian. I do one at least once annually, and I usually like to put, this isn't part of my narrative, I do it as a side battle, but I just love that idea of like waves of orcs and orcs coming in to fight. So I have like some civilians that are within the, it's usually a drill site that I use, so civilian drill site workers, and then I have the Astra Militarum Cadian who have come into support, and then I also include the Raven Guard for like their snipers, and it is always such a good battle. So I'm hoping to get that again this year. Probably start a lot of those around Christmas time, because right now it's still summer out. I'm not going to be locked in my basement playing a bunch of games, but when winter rolls around here in Canada, it gets super cold, so I'm inside and always looking at stuff to do, so I'll get some battles going. Black Templar as well, so another successor of my Imperial Fists. I absolutely love these models, just the uniqueness of them all. So I have Helbrecht in there leading that. I also have like the old school Castellan model there from, it was the Black Templar like Codex book way back in the day, so I got him for sure. And this would be an awesome force. I thought about doing a crusade with them because they are crusaders, so doing a narrative with them would be pretty sweet, but let me know if you guys want to see them. And we have my Khorne Berserkers led by good old Karn the Betrayer. I also have Angron, another Demon Primarch. These guys took on my Cadian and absolutely decimated them, but it wasn't a mission where it was head on head. If it was, the Cadian would have had no chance. But they were able to hold them off and get some civilians out last time. Again, if you guys want to check those battles, there's some pictures on Instagram. So hashtag Finnigan 40K, hashtag FINNIGAN 40K. And then last but not least, a very small fraction of my Astra Militarum Cadian. These are going to be the main unit that's going to be in my narrative crusade. So I'm lining it up with 4 10-man sections, so I'm not doing the 20-man because I want to have sergeants in there to help out. We're going to have a commissar, we're going to have a command squad, we're going to have a Castellan, we're going to have 2 squads of Khazarkin, there's going to be 2 Hellhounds, and I think a couple of Sentinels, which are in another area. But yeah, I just wanted to finish off with these guys. There's totally like my heart. I'll show you guys that tattoo again. Imperial Guard all the way. They're also just doing so well in Space Marine 2, like no chance in hell, but fighting so hard. So I just love, I love us humans in the year 40,000 trying to fight tooth and nail for anything we can. But yeah, that's it for now. Thank you guys for watching. And again, if you guys want to let me know if you want to see any content, like I could do some, show you guys some painting stuff. I just started up with the contrast paints actually, and it's been a game changer. Like my Crimson Fists, I used to do a base primer of blue, and now I've started doing the contrast paint. It just looks so professional and crisp, so I'm probably going to be doing that. Also, my new Cadian models, I used contrast paints on, and oh my god, they look so good. I can't wait to get them out on the tabletop for you guys. Again, that's going to probably be in a couple months, so I'm going to get this video edited and uploaded, and then we'll start those battles, and let me know who you want to see the 555th Charlie Cadian Company take on in Narrative Crusade battles. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.